Hi everybody, I just wanted to make a quick video on volleyball positioning. What that means is that when the ball is served, our players need to be in the correct relative positions on the court. So let's go ahead and define what those positions are. So right back is position 1, right front is position 2, middle front is position 3, left front is position 4, left back is position 5, and middle back is position 6. So notice that the positions are numbered in the order that the players will serve in. Alright, so let's go ahead and get right into the rules. The first rule is that the front row player must be closer to the center line than the corresponding back row player. What that means is that player 4 needs to be closer to the net than player 5, player 3 needs to be closer to the net than player 6, and player 2 needs to be closer to the net than player 1. Alright, the second rule is that the left side players need to be closer to the left sideline than the middle player in their same row. So what that means is player 4 needs to be closer to the left sideline than player 3, player 5 needs to be closer to the left sideline than player 6. And then the final rule is that the right side players need to be closer to the right sideline than their middle players. So what that means is player 2 needs to be closer to the right sideline than player 3, and player 1 needs to be closer to the right sideline than player 6. And those are the three rules. The one thing I want you guys to notice, and this creates a lot of confusion, is that there are no diagonal relationships. So as long as player 3 is, as long as player 4 is closer to the left sideline than player 3, and player 2 is closer to the right sideline than player 3, and player 3 is closer to the center line than player 6, then it's completely legal. So something like this is still legal. So let's take a look at what just happened. We took player 3 and pulled them back. And is player 4 still closer to the left sideline than player 3? Yes. Is player 3 still closer to the net than player 6? Yes. And is player 2 closer to the right sideline than player 3? Yes. And since we also moved player 5, let's take a look. Is player 4 closer to the net than player 5? Yes. Is player 5 closer to the left sideline than player 6? Yes. And is player 1 closer to the right sideline than player 6? Yes. So there is actually a lot of freedom in terms of court positioning, as long as you know what the rules are and where players are allowed to be and where they're not allowed to be. Because you can do things like move this player all the way over, and this is still legal because of the rules. And if you're not sure, go through the rules and check for yourself. This becomes important when we start into the serve-receive. So there's a difference between our rotational position, which is where we start when this ball is being served, and then once the ball is served, we can play anywhere on the court. And so let's establish where we want our players to be playing on the court once the ball is being served. And I think the fundamental positioning is our base defense. So with our base defense, we want our setter about 20 feet off, 10 feet in from the sideline. Our secondary setter is going to be up at the net blocking. Our middle is going to be up at the net blocking, and our hitter is going to be up at the net blocking. Our other hitter is, again, 20 feet off, 10 feet in, playing defense, and we're going to have our middle play middle back deep. Alright? So this is what we're going to call base defense, and you should try to commit this to memory. One way to think about it is that our setters are on the right side, our middles are in the middles, and our hitters are on the left side. So how does this integrate into what we just learned about positioning? So let's start off with our player 1 serving, and let's put our players down onto the court where they should be. So notice that I've changed the color of our setters because they're probably the most important players. And so let's move that guy up a little bit. Alright, so notice we want our setters going to the right side and our hitters going to the left side. So if our team is serving, if our setter is serving, let's go ahead and move these two guys much closer to where they need to be, so that when the ball is served, our setter will come in, and then these two guys can just switch, and then we have our base defense. Alright, so let's reset into our positions again. So, and then let's rotate one time so that we have our middle. Our setter is in the middle now. Player 2 is going to come back. Player 3 slides over. Player 4 and player 5 goes up. Alright, so we can check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're in the correct order. And player 2 is going to come back to serve. So how do we want to set up our positioning so that we're in base defense? Player 1 can move to their position right away. Player 6 can move to their position right away. And player 2 can serve anywhere along the back row. And so if they serve from the left back, they can come in very quickly. They can also come in from here and go. And let's see what happens with our front row players. Since player 3 is our middle, let's move them and just have our setter come around. So then the ball is served. Player 4 will come here. Player 2 comes in at the same time. And then we're back into our base defense. Alright. Let's reset one last time so that now player 3 will be in our right back. So again, let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're in correct order. Let's bring player 3 back to serve. And this one, we have a couple people needing to go in a couple different directions. Player 4 is already in position. Player 5 will need to go to the left, and player 6 needs to go to the middle. And same with players 2 needs to go to the left, and player 1 needs to go to the right. Alright, so the serve goes. Player 1 comes here, player 2 goes there, player 3 comes into the court, and player 5 comes here, and we're back in base defense, ready to hopefully get a dig. Alright, we'll reset one last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then let's rotate. So 3 will come here, 4 will come back to serve, 2 comes over here, 5 is over there, 6 is there, 1 is there. Notice that this looks like our first rotation where player 1 was back serving, and essentially the same thing will happen. We bunch them right here, player 4 will serve, and then come in, player 5 goes there, player 6 goes there, and we're back in defense. So you should be able to figure out the rest of the rotation. So I will leave that as a homework exercise. So hopefully understanding serve rotation when your team is serving is pretty easy, since you have the time when the ball is traveling across the net to get into the correct positions. On serve receive, it is really a test of if you understand the rules of the game. So in our offense, we want our setter coming from the back row, and so we don't want them passing that first ball. So we're going to move our setter out of the way. So let's pull our front row players back to the 10-foot line so they can help a little bit. We'll move our setter out of the way, and since we only have 2 players passing in the back row, we probably want to bring a front row player back. And in this case, we're going to bring this front left player back. Alright? So just to be crystal clear, let's go through the rules again. The front row players need to be closer to the net than the corresponding back row players. So 4 is closer to the net than 5. Alright? Even if it's just by 1 inch, that is good enough. Player 3 is closer to the net than player 6. And player 2 is closer to the net than player 1. Alright? So the serve will come in, usually, to the middle center of the court. our setter is going to release, our other setter gets ready to hit, and now everyone is ready to hit the pass, the set, and hopefully the kill. And then now the ball is on the other side and we need to get into base defense. So we make our switches, we come back, and then we're ready to play defense if the other team got the ball up. Alright? So I'm always going to try to end on base defense because that's where we've established is going to be our foundation. So let's go ahead and reset. So we'll put these guys back in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's rotate so that player 2 is now right back. Player 5 needs to move up. And let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Again, we don't want our back row setter to be passing, so we're going to move them up and out of the way. And again, we need to pull a front row player back. And again, we'll pull the player that's in the front left. So let's take a look at if we're still following the rules. So player 5 is still closer to the net than player 6. Player 4 is closer to the net than player 1. And player 3 is closer to the net than player 2. And then 5 is closer to the left sideline than player 4. Player 6 is closer to the left sideline than player 1. Player 3 is closer to the right sideline than player 4, and 2 is closer to the right sideline than player 1. Alright? So again, the ball is going to come into middle back. We get our setter into position, and we get our hitter into position, and then we pass, set, and the ball goes to the other side, and then we need to get into defense. So we'll have 2 come across. We'll have 3 go to the middle, 4, 1, and 5. Alright? So again, we've established back into base defense. And hopefully the other team doesn't get it over, but if they do, we're ready to go. So let's reset again. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to rotate one last time like we did when we were serving. So 3 is now back. Alright. So this is the rotation that a lot of people have trouble with when the setter is in the left back. And we want to be passing to this area, and this is a long way to go. So again, we want to take this player out of the passing target. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to take our front left and put them way in the corner. Alright? And then we're going to bring our left back all the way up, but they're still behind their front left. And then the second thing is we're going to move our setter also as close as we can to the middle back. Alright? And so our left back is still further from the net than our left front, and our left back is still closer to the left sideline than middle back. Alright? And then they have a short distance to go to get to where we want our passes to go. And then notice that we have a big hole back here, and that we want to fill that hole. So we can take our middle front and pull them back so that, again, they just need to be slightly in front of the middle back, and they need to be to the right of left front. And so we've established that. We still have our 3-person serve receive. The ball will come in, our setter can release, our hitter can release, and our middle can get ready to hit. Hopefully the pass goes perfect, and then we can set any of our players. The ball will come over, and then we just need to get back into our defensive positions. And then we're in base defense again. Alright, so let's reset one last time. Remember, setter was in left back. And then we rotate one more time. and we have a new setter. And this will look exactly like it did when player 1 was in the back right. Just as a reminder, we will hide our setter. We pull back our left front and slide everyone else over, and then we're ready to go again. Alright? And that's it for now.